What's going on? So today we're gonna be reviewing the Kobe 8 What the Protro Retro 2025 Retro Replica versus Retail. Now really quickly we're gonna get into the boxes and then we'll get into the sneakers. Really briefly we'll get into the boxes. I usually don't, but because they get updated pretty frequently. But in this case, there are some significant differences with the box. So the replica box is on the right, retail's on the left. And let's just start right here. So these scales, as you guys can see, they're a lot smaller and then they get bigger. But over here on the retail pair, it's almost one consistent size. It's not really doing that. Let me see if I can show you guys that. I'm pretty sure you guys can fucking see it. Look at that. Big difference. A little bit more texture as well. These don't really have that much texture. These you can feel, you can even hear it. See that? Kobe logo looks fine. This gold circle is very gold compared to the replica. This is very dull. It's a lot smaller. You guys can see that. Signature looks a little too big on the replica pair, and it's also kind of like a silver kind of color. You can also see the more small circles. There's some here, but for the most part there's a lot more on this replica pair. So that's pretty much the main stuff. Let's also get into the paper really quickly. The paper is not even right. It's not even close. Again, there could be a better rep out there, so don't rely on me. And if you guys know of one that is better, let me know in the comments, because this might not even be the top quality. So keep that in mind. The paper is just wrong. Look at it. It's not even right. Kobe logo looks like shit. And after that, yeah, we'll get right back into this. Now that we got the boxes out the way, if you cannot tell, the replica is on the right. The replica's on the right. We're gonna get into each shoe, each sneaker, starting with the blue or purple pair. So let's not get these mixed up. Let's move out the way. Let's start into the blue purple pair. Now, these could not be the best batch. You guys let me know. There's better batches out there. There's better versions out there, at least to my knowledge. Maybe there isn't, but if you guys know of one, feel free to let me know in the comments. But let's get right into it. Also, look at this from Nike. See that little extra flaw? That's how you know they're legit. So some of the things that I noticed was that the swoosh on the rep is a bit lower. It's almost touching the midsole. You can definitely see that. And let's look at the retail pair. Big difference. These are both the same size for reference, by the way. And also you can kind of sort of see, I don't know exactly what material this is, but it's sort of like a plastic kind of lining that's all around the shoe. You guys can see it right there. Looks better, right? You can see that. It's not as noticeable specifically as well on that part of the sneaker. You can literally see the difference. I'm pretty sure you guys can see that. It's hardly there. The material's the same. The swoosh on the retail pair also seems to curve up a little bit, where on the replica it's just flat, just straight. You can also see some stitching flaws right here on the replica. Again, I don't know if this happens with all retail pairs, but the retail pair is a lot smoother. No stitching, surprisingly, in that aspect. I also noticed that right here, again, I don't know if patterns are different from retail pairs. I don't think they are, but you can see there's a lot more green on that retail pair than there is on the replica. You guys can see that. This is the retail, this is the rep. There's a lot more blue here. There's a lot more holes within the green. Sort of looks like a fucking checkered ass pattern compared to the retail, where it's a lot more blended, to say the least. The pattern is really good, I'm not gonna lie. For those of you who don't know, the rep Kobe's of these before this shoe dropped looked like shit. They didn't even have a clear bottom. I'll see if I can throw up a picture. If not, I'm just lazy. But I'm telling you, these used to look like absolute shit. So this is the best of the best that we've ever gotten. Like literally, this was just a gray outsole. They had no idea what they were doing back then. So now that they've been able to make a new pair, you can definitely see the difference. Some of these cuts also seem to be a bit sharper. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So on the replica, you can see over here, look at this. It's a very obvious V-shaped around the stitching, a lot sharper. Whereas on the retail, it's also a V-shape, but it's a bit more of a U. You can kind of see that right there. Also, the stitching little hole right here on the rep, you can see that it is more obvious. It's wider, it goes out further. You can see that. Whereas on the retail, it's very small. You guys can see that, I'm pretty sure. Also, this little material, at least on this side of the eyelet, it's really flat on the rep pair. It's almost 2D. You can kind of see that. Whereas on the retail, you can see that it literally pops out. It's very 3D. You can feel it. I would kind of say it's similar on this angle, but specifically it feels a bit more flat on the rep. Now that I'm looking at these in the sun, I don't think the swoosh color is correct. I think it's close, but it looks a little bit darker on the retail pair. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's that. Let's look at the front over here. Again, this looks just a little bit more crisp, and it low-key appears to have some gloss. Let's see if we can take a real close look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that shine. It's literally very, very hard to notice. Whereas on this rep pair, it's just flat. It's glossy, but it doesn't have like a little glitter sort of effect to it. You can also see the stitching is a lot more obvious on the replica pair compared to this retail pair. You can literally see the stitching fucking screaming at you over here. Tongue color seems to be a little bit off, as you can see. One, the tongue has a lot more cushioning on this retail pair. It's low-key thick. Look how thick this boy is. Look at that. You see that shit? Look at that. Compared to the rep, which is, you know, it's similar, but it's a lot thinner. You can definitely see that. Also seems to be a bit more bright compared to this one. Definitely a darker purple. Also seems to be a fatter tongue. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's definitely a fatter tongue. It's also a bit shorter and like I said, a bit more wide. You can see that this tongue is a lot more narrow. The lining seems fine. The laces are pretty accurate, if anything. Yeah, they look fucking pretty much identical. And again, some minor differences here within the pattern. Again, I do not know if the pattern is the same for all the pairs. You guys let me know. These sort of look like hearts, and on the replica, these just look like little smudges. I don't think that's intentional, but that's just what I see. But other than that, like I said, the print, they did a solid job. The tongue might have a little bit more detail. This is the retail pair. You guys see these little red lines going all through the Mamba logo. They're there, but there's a lot less of them. You guys can kind of see that. As well as with the logo, it's just, you know, overall, it's just more detailed on the retail pair. And there's also, you can't really see the indentation as much. You see in the replica, you can see the indent, if that makes sense. This looks very smooth. It almost looks flat. It really does almost look flat. I'm sure you guys can see that difference. Let's go on this medial side. This is probably going to be the most accurate part of the shoe, to be honest. Again, with that 3D eyelet that I mentioned, you see how flat it is on the rep pair. I should have probably laced the rep pair up. I'm trying to get an angle I'm sorry. Should have probably laced the rep pair up all the way. So this is the rep pair, this is the retail. You can even just see the shape of the shoe on the retail pair. Just looks a bit more narrow, a bit tighter. The Nike looks correct. It's really fucking difficult doing this shit, man. Okay. You see the Nike looks a bit more, let's put them where they're supposed to be. A bit more dark, possibly, on the rep pair. Yeah, definitely darker. Look at that. I actually thought this was gonna be a big difference, but damn, it doesn't even look. It almost looks like it doesn't say Nike. You can see a bit more of the 3M and that sort of material on the retail pair. And again, with that sort of flat look, you can definitely see that it looks a lot flatter on the rep than it does the retail. This is the rep, this is the retail. So that's one thing you guys can know. You can already sort of see that 3M. Again, it's a bit of a lighter, accidentally paused that. But yeah, let's go into the midsole really quickly. This is going to be a bit of a longer video because there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to get in depth about, especially if you're going to get very picky. So what I noticed right here on the retail pair is that this, you know, the midsole goes from purple to blue. And over here you can notice that same sort of thing on the rep. But if I am correct, I think it looks like a smoother transition on the retail compared to the rep. You can kind of see right here, this is the retail, transition's pretty smooth, and this is the rep. Let me see if you guys can see that. I think it even starts, I think it starts too early on the rep. You can see, here it starts. So it starts a little too early on the rep. And it also has a lot more of a spray sort of effect to it versus the retail. The retail, it's a very smooth transition. I feel like it also does have more speckles on the retail pair. And the speckle color might be off a little bit. I believe it's a bit darker on the rep. You guys can see right here is a great way to look at it. This color also might be slightly off. Nothing too crazy. But again, here's the retail. You can sort of already see that difference within the dots, the speckles. Now, the back, for those of you who can't tell, the panel is definitely bigger on the rep pair. Definitely bigger. Also more speckles, as you can see. Jesus. I feel like there's more speckles on the retail pair in this instance versus on the rep. Rep, there's less speckles. There's even a fucking purple stain right there, actually. Didn't even notice that. And also, something that I'm just now seeing, there appears to be some purple within the holes on this retail pair, actually. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know if it's a flaw. Let me know. But yeah, I'm sure you guys can see that a little bit. Rep pair does not have that at all. It is purely blue sole. I also did notice something on the glitter, which I'm about to get into right now. As you guys can see, they're pretty close, but I feel like the retail glitter is just a bit more concentrated. This is the rep. As you guys can see, there's plenty of glitter there, but I feel like the glitter is just spread out too much. And look at the retail. That's a shit ton of glitter, and it's all concentrated in one part of the sneaker. As you guys can see, you can definitely see difference in the shape. And again, let's look at that glitter on this side with the Kobe logo or the signature. This is the retail. This is the rep. You guys can obviously see that the retail has a lot more glitter compared to the rep. Look at the retail. And yeah, overall the shape is just a little bit different. You can see how much wider it is. You know, definitely a difference right here. The materials are also a little bit different. And the laces are different. This is the retail pair. They're not different, but they come different. This is the retail pair. This is the rep. So they come in a bigger bag on the retail pair versus the rep. They come in a smaller bag. Also, I actually think they are off. I think this color is not even accurate. This is the retail. This is the rep. I mean, that's not even the same color. If you guys want to look at that. Again, like I said, I'm pretty sure there's a better pair out there, but with this pair that I have, these are not even the same color. Look at that. Not even close. So that's what I noticed on the blue sneaker. I feel like I'm not missing too much. I could be, but I feel like I'm trying to go as in depth as I can. The midsole, I mean, the insoles are obviously going to be both white. The lining color is great. They did a great job on that. It looks pretty accurate. But again, I think we're done with this sneaker. So, well, let's do the outsole really quickly, actually, in the carbon fiber. And I think I noticed that again right here. Look at this. So this is the retail pair. You guys can see again, look where the blue meets the purple, right? Very smooth transition. And look at how much blue is, the blue is damn near in the middle on the replica pair. You can see that. It's literally in the middle of the carbon fiber. Look at how late it starts. This is damn near towards the end of the carbon fiber on the retail pair. Carbon fiber is basically going to be the same. I mean, I've been into replicas for so long that I know that in that 2013 era, bro, carbon fiber used to look like shit. They don't do that anymore. But yeah, I mean, this outsole is practically identical. Now let's get into the other sneaker. One more thing, I don't want to leave y'all with any unnoticed details. One, you can see a bit of the thickness right here. You can see that it looks like two materials together, whereas on the replica and on the retail, you can see that it looks like it's one. Also, really quickly, what I noticed behind the tongue is on the rep pair, you see these words right here above Mamba. It's supposed to be some words right here. They didn't even try, to be honest. As you can see on the retail pair, you can actually see what the words say a little bit. You can see that it says M something. You guys can see that. There's actually some, you can actually kind of see the words compared to this rep pair. And also you can see the stitching on the rep pair. You can see it. You can literally see the stitching. You're looking at it. And on the retail pair, there's no stitching. You cannot see any stitching marks. So that's one more thing. We're gonna get into the left sneaker. So again, same thing with the tongue. Same thing with what I mentioned about the 3D sort of eyelets. You can see the retail pair. You can see it a lot more. Replica pair, just a bit flat. They did it better with the tongue. Those same tongue flaws that you guys saw are gonna be here as well. If anything, look at how much the tongue sticks out on this rep pair. Look at this shit compared to the retail. It's not even poking out like that for real. Look at that shit. Other than that, the coloring and the logo looks perfect, but you can literally see how much this is sticking out. Print is honestly fine. The same tongue issue that I was mentioning is obviously still here on this sneaker. This little texture and print is a lot darker on the replica pair than it is on the retail. You can hardly see it on the retail, but when you're looking at both, you can definitely see it on the replica a lot more. Let me see if there's anything with this texture. The texture does look a bit off. It looks overly textured on the replica pair. Also, you guys can see the swoosh looks a bit flat. You see, it almost looks like there's nothing on this swoosh. You have to get really, really close. There might not even be anything on this swoosh, actually. I could be wrong. The only texture that I'm seeing is the texture that's under this panel. I see that under the swoosh, right? Again, with this same, we'll get into this in a little bit. But if you look at the retail pair, one, less texture, and two, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but if you look really, really, really close, there is a pattern and a print on the retail pair. there's a print, there's a pattern on there, and you can low-key feel it. It's a little slight print slash texture. There's nothing on the replica. And again, same thing with the glitter. Let's try to grab both of them. You can see the glitter on the rep pair, glitter on the retail, but that rep pair, it's just a lot more spread out, and I feel like it's a lot more concentrated on this retail pair. A lot more speckles, at least from what I see. You guys can see this is the rep, this is the retail. So that's one thing that I noticed. And as you guys can see, the panels do look different. A bit wider on the left is the rep, a bit wider on the replica pair compared to the retail. Again, with the texturing, you guys can still see that. A lot more texture on that rep pair versus on the retail. It's there, but it's a lot less. Can't really see it too much. Back of the tongue, that's fucking practically identical actually, but you can still see that stitching that I was mentioning. You can still see it right here, especially on this right side. You guys can see that. Compared to the retail, there is no stitching. Swoosh, really quickly I'll mention the swoosh. As I was saying sort of earlier, one, it's a bit higher on the retail pair. On the rep pair, you can see it's almost touching the midsole. It's a lot lower. And two, look at how far back this swoosh goes on the retail pair, and again how it curves up versus the rep. There's a huge gap, and it also looks just a lot more flat. Now we're gonna try to get this texture to show. I think you guys can see it a little bit right here. You can kind of see that texture on the retail pair, whereas on the rep, there's no texture on there. It is very flat. Again, with the stitching little hole, you guys see that on the rep pair. Look at that big ass gap right here. Retail, hardly noticeable. You guys can see that, I'm pretty sure. Here's the retail, the rep, you can see that gap. So, you know, sort of the same kind of differences we have over here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but again, with what I was saying in terms of where the color difference starts, this is the replica pair. Color difference starts around here, and on the retail pair, it starts way on this back end, which is where the color starts to change. So again, difference right there as well. I really think they knocked this pattern down. I can hardly see any difference with the pattern, but overall, I mean, I think that's pretty much gonna be it. I think the outsole color might be slightly wrong. I can look at that really quickly. It might be slightly different on the rep. You guys let me know what you think. I think it's slightly brighter. I could be wrong though. Also, Nike has these little glue stain flaws. As you can see, the replica pair, super clean, does not have that. I think that's pretty much it for this one, to be honest. I can't see too many other flaws, the same flaws that I mentioned earlier as well, with the cut and the design of the shoe. But y'all let me know. It's getting a little hot, the sun is starting to cook me alive, but regardless, I do think I touched on everything that I needed to. And y'all let me know if there's a better badge. Y'all let me know what y'all think, any differences that I missed, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.